Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing 3 card ideas featuring the brand new pop-up shop base dies, as well as the Bake Shop bundle and the Book Shop bundle. These are all brand new from Concord and Ninth, and they create the most adorable pop-up cards, and I think you're gonna love it. Now, all of today's cards will use this pop-up shop base die set from Concord and Ninth, which includes the pop-up card front, as well as all of the pieces that you need to embellish your little shop. I will also be featuring 2 more pop-up shop cards that incorporate the Bake Shop bundle and the Book Shop bundle. And these bundles were designed to coordinate with this pop-up shop base die set to kind of customize these little shops. And you're gonna see how these come together. This is a really easy interactive card, and it's so much fun to create these different versions of these pop-up shops. So here's a look at the Bake Shop and the Book Shop bundles that are add-ons for this pop-up shop base die set. And today, because I'm going to be working with a lot of small die cuts, I've taken several pieces of Concord and Ninth colored cardstock, as well as the metallic silver and the metallic gold, and I have added some Altenew double-sided sheet adhesive to the back of all of these. This is just going to make assembling all the little die cut pieces a lot easier. Now I'm going to start by die cutting the card front using the pop-up shop base die. Now I'm not using adhesive backed cardstock for this die cut here because I don't need adhesive backed cardstock for this, but for all of the little pieces like this door that I'm going to die cut, the dental molding, the little planter box pieces, I'm going to use the adhesive backed cardstock. And that's because when I go to put all of these together, it's just going to make it that much quicker. Now, you could definitely use some liquid glue or some tape runner adhesive to adhere all of your die cut pieces together. You don't need to use adhesive backed cardstock, but this is just going to make my life a little bit easier because I'm creating 3 of these cards today, and some of these pieces are very small. So I've die cut the door pieces as well as the window panes from some Buttercup cardstock from Concord and Ninth. I am using some regular mushroom cardstock with no adhesive on the back and the regular Stardust cardstock with no adhesive on the back to die cut the little lamp, table, and sign for my pop-up shop, as well as the greenery. Now I wanted to mention that the first card that I'm creating features only the pop-up shop base dies. So I'm not going to use any of the other dies that are from the other bundles because I want to show you that you can create adorable cards just with the base die set. I'm taking and I'm just ink blending a little bit of Buttercup ink onto the Buttercup cardstock door that I've created. I'm also going to blend it onto these window pane pieces as well. Now, the great thing about this pop-up shop base die set is if you have other small die sets in your collection, you can die cut those little pieces and use them to embellish your pop-up shop as well. And I'm going to share an idea later on this month, and I'm going to customize this in a little bit different way. I think you're going to like it. I don't want to spoil any surprises though. Now, for all of the molding and the planter box on this particular shop, I want to have those details in white. So I am taking all of these pieces that layer together and I'm die cutting them from white cardstock. Now, I had die cut the window pane pieces earlier from Buttercup cardstock, and I decided I wanted those to be in white. So the only part that's going to be yellow on my little pop-up shop here is the door, and the rest of these detail pieces are going to be in white. So this larger rectangle is the base piece to create the dental molding or the embellishment pieces for the top of the building. And you can see it cuts the rectangle, and then there is the kind of zigzag piece there that creates the dental molding and 2 little strips. Now I like to layer up those strips on top of each other to create even more depth and dimension to this molding piece that will eventually be attached to the top of the building. Now, the planter box for in front of the window at the bottom works very much the same way. There are little rectangles that you adhere on top of a larger rectangle to give it a little bit of dimension. And so I'm just adding those on to the bottom of that rectangle there and kind of evenly spacing them. And then there are also 2 small strips that you die cut, and you'll layer those up just like I did on the top piece of that dental molding. Now you can definitely arrange these in different ways and put 1 strip at the top and 1 strip at the bottom, so you can kind of experiment with different iterations of these same die cuts. But I found that I like this way the best, so I'm going to go ahead and do all of my buildings the same way. I'm not going to show you the assembly of that molding again, or the planter box, or this door another time. I'm just going to show you the different things I did to kind of create different versions of this shop later on. So you can see how using that adhesive back cardstock is making this process really easy for me. I'm just peeling off the backer of these pieces and then layering them on top of the base pieces. I have this little silver die cut here that creates the mail slot on the door. And then there's also the little door handle for the door. And those all die cut from 1 die, which also die cuts a little light bulb for that lamp. Now this sign is adorable, and I love that it is double-sided and both of the white ovals die cut from the same die. So you only have to do 1 pass of that die to create the little white ovals inside of that sign. Now let's get to assembling this card now that I have all of my pieces ready to go. When you die cut the card front for this die, or this main portion of the pop-up shop, it creates score lines in the die cut for you. So all you need to do is fold along those score lines and then reinforce those folds with a bone folder. That's just going to help this fold and bend and pop up a little bit easier, and it's also going to give it a nice polished look on your final card. Now, once I have all of my score lines folded and reinforced with the bone folder, I'm going to flip this card front over, and I'm going to add a piece of acetate or clear window plastic on the back side of these windows. Now, this is really cool because it creates that true window effect, but it also adds a little stability to this card front as well. So once I have that in place, I'm going to go ahead and add my planter boxes, my molding along the top of the building, the little door on the front, and all of these greenery pieces. I'm going to get all of that added to my pop-up shop before I adhere this onto my card base. Now you can adhere it afterwards. It's definitely possible, but I think it's a little bit easier to do it while you're working on the flat surface before you have that pop-up function in place on your card front. So I'm just adding these into the different areas, and you can see how quickly this is going because I went ahead and added that adhesive to the back. But if you wanted to use liquid glue to hold some of these pieces in place, you could definitely do that. Now I added my little table and chairs on the front of the building to make it look like they're kind of on the sidewalk outside of the building, but you could also add those inside the window as well. Now to adhere this card front to my card base, I'm going to use some strong double-sided adhesive, and I've added just a strip of that 1/4 inch score tape along the very bottom tab and the very top tab on the card front. And I'm just finishing up a few little details before I assemble this together. Now this piece is really important. I call this the guide piece, and it is part of the die set, and you'll want to die cut it from the same color cardstock as your building. And you're going to place that right along the top edge of your card base. So I'm using an A2 size card base here. I've added my guide piece along the top, and now I'm going to remove the backer from the adhesive on that bottom tab. I'm going to fold that bottom tab up, and I'm going to align that score line at the bottom of this card front to the bottom of my card base. So that folded line will align directly with the bottom of your card base. Now, once I have that pressed in place, I'm going to go ahead and remove the backer from the top adhesive tab. And this one I'm going to fold under, and I am going to butt it up right against that guide piece that I placed on my card front earlier. So you want that score line where you fold the adhesive tab in to meet right up with your guide piece on your card front. And you can see that allows this to fold flat and go in an envelope, but it also gives a nice finished look to the card front itself. Now this little sign is adorable because it also creates a score line on it when it die cuts. And so you just fold along that score line. And this sign can fold down when it goes into the envelope, but also pop up once it comes out. So here is a look at my first card, and I created this entire card using only the dies from the Pop-Up Shop base set. Now to finish this card off, I did use the little flower image. I die cut it from some grapefruit colored cardstock, and I added flowers along the top of that greenery as well as in the little planter box in front of the shop as well. I think this is so much fun, and it gets even better because there are add-ons for this pop-up shop that you can pick up to customize this. For this next card, I'm not going to show you the full assembly of this, but I am going to create a different variation using the Bake Shop add-on. And so I have my card front die cut, I have the adhesive in place, I have my little acetate inside of the windows, and I am just prepping the surface of that acetate, and I'm stamping one of the sentiments that says "For a Sweet Friend" from the Bake Shop stamp set onto this large window using some Versamark ink. And then I'm adding some white embossing powder and I'm giving that a good flick. Now I am going to heat set this, but I'm going to be really careful that I'm not warping that plastic or that acetate. Now it's best to use a heat resistant acetate for this. And even when you're using a heat resistant acetate, you're going to want to keep your heat tool a little further away than what you normally do when you emboss. And you kind of want to do this in short bursts. So add a little heat and then move your heat tool away and repeat that process until you've melted the embossing powder. Now for my card front, I wanted to make sure I had all of my little die cuts inside the window. So I went ahead and cut a second card front and traced that window onto my card base. And now I'm just adding all these detail pieces, and I kind of was going for like a magnolia vibe. So I created my building out of white cardstock and I'm adding these black accents. And then of course I needed a pink door for my bake shop. Now, if you find your bake shop card front is a little bit flimsy and you want to reinforce it, you can cut a second card front from some white cardstock, some heavyweight white cardstock, and just trim off the tabs and adhere that on the back side of this card front that you're going to attach to your card base. And that's going to give it just a little more heft and weight and help it stand up a little bit better if you're finding that it's a little bit flimsy. Now to add a wallpaper effect inside of my window, I went ahead and used this stripe stamp from Concord and 9th and stamped an A2 size card front and attached that onto my card base. And now I'm going to attach the pop-up shop feature onto the front of my card. So I'm just removing the backer from the adhesive along the bottom tab. Then I'll add my guide piece along the top of my card base, and I'll remove the backer from the adhesive on the top tab. And then I'm going to fold that in and line up that score line to where it butts up against my guide piece. So I'm doing the same thing as before, just making sure all of those score lines line up in the right place. And you can see I can fold this flat and then pop it up, and that allows it to go in an envelope easily. And I have embellished this card with all the sweet treats from the Bake Shop Die add-on. Now, I didn't show you the creation of this one, but this card features the Book Shop add-on. So I've created a bunch of colorful books on the bookshelf inside of that window, and I die cut that adorable ladder from some matte gold cardstock from Concord and 9th, which I think is a fun little touch. So there you have it, 3 cards featuring the brand new Pop-Up Shop base dies, along with the Bake Shop bundle and the Book Shop bundle, and you can create so many different variations. But I also wanted to show you with just the base dies alone, you can create some adorable Pop-Up Shop dies. Now, as always, I will have links to the featured products used in these projects in the description at YouTube. So if you're looking for something in particular, be sure you check there. Or you can head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. I'll have that linked below as well. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for spending your time hanging out with me. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you enjoyed these projects and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here on my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials that I share here. And if you loved this video, I would love it if you would share it with a friend. Also, drop me a comment below and let me know which of these 3 cards is your absolute favorite today. I know we have some sweets people out there, we have some book people, and then we have just your regular diner people as well, so let me know which is your favorite. Thanks again for stopping by, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.